Well, good afternoon, everyone. And for those of you that have started school within the past week, congratulations on getting in those first few days. And for those of you that today is your first day, thank you for watching on a recording, undoubtedly. So we really appreciate that. So hope everyone's off to a great start to the new year. It's an exciting time. It's just full of wonder, opportunity for new friendships, new opportunities for kids, and to me, this is always like Christmas, the start of the new year. So it's a little different for me not being in buildings on day one, but I'm sure you will make up for it. And again, get every single kid a hug for me if you can. So congratulations to those that have you started, and for those who are about to start, it will be here before you know it. So let's go ahead and get started with our meeting today. If we could go on to the next slide, please. Our agenda for today, we have, I'll be giving some updates, and then we'll move over to Jennifer. Jennifer Ginn will be giving our some of our education updates also from KDE. Chair Robinson is joining us tonight, Dr. Robinson, this afternoon. She will be giving some Kentucky Board of Education updates. We are trying to get her logged in. Well, once we do, we'll make sure that she's a part of this meeting. Great opportunity to have Chair Robinson as part of the Superintendent Webcast. Dr. Foster will follow with some continuous improvement summit. The invitation for that it's coming up soon, so she'll have some information for you on that. We'll move on to chronic absenteeism. We're thankful that Ms. Weeder will be here to talk about what we're doing here at the department to raise awareness, and also to provide some tools, if you will, for districts as it relates to chronic absenteeism. Next, we'll have Mrs. Mickey Ray Marinelli, our Chief Academic Officer. She'll be talking to us about the Kentucky Early Literacy Network and giving us an update there. And then we'll also finish up before we do questions and answers with Dr. Tucker, who will talk to us about teaching a grant about teaching Black history. So it is a packed agenda, so we'll move right along. So if we could go on, Ms. Sicard, to the next slide, please. And next slide, please. I've had several questions over the past few weeks about the important due dates for superintendents. If you, Ms. Sicard, if you could go ahead and roll over to that web page, please. We have put out over the years this important due dates for superintendents, and I lived by it as a superintendent. It used to be on just a spreadsheet, but now we've made that into a living document. Can everyone, there we go, here we go. Okay, if we could zoom in just a little bit. Oh, great. I can see that now. One of the things I wanted you to look at, folks, is if you look at, there is also the point of contact. You have the program, what exactly teacher assignment, transfers, dates, due dates, months, the activity and description, and then also too, who do you need to contact in the phone number? This is a SharePoint document, so if you have this PowerPoint, you should be able to click on the PowerPoint and it'll take you directly to this. I also wanted to say I've talked to several districts over the years, including some of the folks at Lawrence County where I was before. A lot of people take this document and create their own district level document to say, okay, they add another column and say who's responsible within our district for making sure these reports and these items are reported. I've even seen districts that will go as far as to say, make a principal's due dates for the entire year so that they can go on and delegate, if there's some type of report that's due back to central office, and then you can have a time when it's come back to central office, then on to KDE. But this gives you an opportunity to plan out for the year. And I think it's very important that to take a load off of superintendents, that we take the time to make sure we delegate this out. And then also too, of course, anytime that you have information that you're needed, how you handle that is totally up to you as a superintendent. But again, I think this is an important document. And since I've had some questions about it, I wanted to bring it back to everyone's attention. I know that Dr. Kenny had this in a Monday message probably back in the late spring, early summer. So, but with the questions I've had lately, I wanted to make sure I brought that back to everyone's attention. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to give us a call. But this is our important due dates for superintendents, which is a great way to start every year. So, Ms. Sicard, if you go back to our presentation, please. The other thing that's also part of that is the points of contact have all been updated so that you should have the current Kentucky Department of Education staffing that goes along with that. Next slide, please. Also, the Kentucky United We Learn Council recently convened on July 29th, and it was a huge success. We had several legislators there. We're very thankful to have, although Representative Truitt, he had a great time. The picture may not look that way, but he had a great time. He told me as much later on. It was great to have Representative Truitt, I think Senator Deneen, Senator Wise, also Representative Tipton, and Representative Bojanowski, if I remember correctly, were all there. It was great to have those representatives a part of that discussion. But as far as the update at this point, the Kentucky Board of Education, we had a meeting also in August, our regular meeting on the 7th and 8th. Members had the opportunity to have their questions put in as part of the study phase. And we're in the process of developing 4.0 for the assessment accountability prototype. And then we'll get that out to districts as soon as possible. We are moving into the study phase. And briefly, to talk about that study phase, we have 18 districts that are already part of the local laboratories of learning. And those 18 districts will have the opportunity to review and have input, but we're also asking 18 other districts to move into this study phase with us to say, okay, there's a specific set of questions we'd like for everyone to answer. What does this particularly look like? If we talk about through course assessment, how's that implemented? What type of questions that you may have? Then also we're looking for that input from districts. So 18 other districts will get the invitation to be a part of that work. Now, of course, if a district was to decline, we'll go on down the list. But we had several districts to request, and we'll get out that information to know what their responsibilities are too. Now, if you're not one of the 36, we're also looking at how to get input from all districts. So we'll have several districts out there that will get the information, and we're looking at how to gather that information back from you also too once 4.0 is put out there. So the Kentucky United We Learn Council, we met on the 29th, had a great day, and we look for more information as we travel on to our moonshot. Next slide, please. We also want to take an opportunity to celebrate with Miss Kathy Gallagher. She was named as one of the 2024 Summer Hunger Heroes. Kathy gave a great speech in front of Franklin Independent, and we're very thankful that Superintendent Satterley allowed us to visit there that day and see what was going on with summer feeding at Frankfort Independent. But one of the things that Kathy would tell you is you help make this possible. We're so thankful for the districts that take the time each and every summer to feed our students, but also our other partners. But again, on a national level, she was nominated by Feeding Kentucky, and we had the opportunity to celebrate that work. And Kathy would tell you this is a celebration of everyone, not just her work, but also the work of everyone in our state. Interesting statistic I thought was last year, I think we were around 2.3 or 2.4 million in that neighborhood of the number of meals that were given out in May and June combined, and that was in 2023. And then we're up over 3 million that were given out in May and June of this year. So thank you for your efforts, and congratulations to Kathy Gallagher and all of our food service team members that play a huge role in our summer feeding programs. Next slide, please. We want to also congratulate Greta Hilton and the team here at KDE, and also the team that you're a part of as what we do with special education each and every year. And as you can see, the U.S. Department of Education Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services issued its 2024 determination letters on state implementation. And then we were, for the 15th consecutive year, Kentucky received the highest rating for meeting the requirements and purposes of IDA Part B. So again, we're very thankful for that, for all the work that's done here at the state level, but also in your districts, because again, Ms. Hilton would tell you that that work can't be done without the work that you do within your district. And in 2024, you see on the third bullet there, 21 states and territories, including Kentucky, were determined to meet requirements. And we're only one of 2 states that have maintained this level of excellence for so many consecutive years. And if you ask Ms. Hilton, she'll tell you we have to beat Kansas, regardless of the arena. We still have to beat Kansas and make sure that we continue this great work. But we'll need to continue that with you as support. So we're very thankful for all those people throughout our Commonwealth that are a part of the special education team. Next slide, please. Hopefully, throughout the Commonwealth, you've either seen some billboards or maybe even heard some public service announcements. We have started a statewide chronic absenteeism campaign. Some of these have been very eye-opening for me. I love the ideas of, we missed you as a student, as a teacher, as a principal. We missed you in class. I'll hold off on switching over to the chronic absenteeism webpage, so Crystal, you won't have to do that. But we have a presentation a little bit later that'll go through some of the tools that we have for districts. So I'd like to thank our communications team, Jennifer Ginn, and everyone on her team for the hard work that they've done. This is an advertising marketing campaign along with just getting information out there to people. So we're very thankful for the work that was done here, and we really appreciate that. Also, a shout out to Anderson County and Superintendent Mitchell and her team for allowing us to come there to video some of the commercials that you see. But again, it's really centered around that we miss our students when they're not here in our buildings. Again, attendance matters. And hopefully you've seen some of those billboards. I saw one this weekend, and we look for more information as we move through. Next slide, please. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to Ms. Ginn, who is our Director of Communications.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I did unmute myself. Yes, awesome. Next slide, please. Again, as we have every superintendent's webcast, are competitive grants from KDE. Today you've got just one of them. It's FY25 Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Applications are due August 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Award amount varies by student served. No matching fund requirements. And an important thing to note, it's a rebid opportunity from KDE to award remaining funds. Districts that applied and met the original June deadline do not need to reapply and have been notified of their award. So that's something important to keep in mind there. For more information, you can go to the KDE Competitive Grants webpage or email Jennifer Bryant. Next slide, please. We have our applications open for the 2025 U.S. Senate Youth Program. These opened up recently. This is a great program. We hear from the students who go every year. They get a $10,000 college scholarship, which is really significant. I've got one in college right now, so it'd be awesome. It's a merit-based program that takes the most outstanding high school students from around the country to Washington, D.C. for a week-long study of the federal government. So 2 Kentucky high school students will be selected as delegates, and they will represent Kentucky. They do get $10,000 college scholarships. If you have any students that you think would be a good fit for this, please encourage them to attend. Please share this with your teachers and your principals. We want to get as many students have their applications in. It takes a little bit of time to fill out the application, but it's worth it. So please pass that along. Applications are due September 30th, and we hope to see people from your district. Next slide, please. And I think you all saw this last month, but the application deadline isn't until August 30th. We are still seeking applications for Commissioners Teachers Advisory Council, one of the many advisory councils we have here at the department. It's comprised of teacher leaders across Commonwealth, and they contribute a really important diverse perspectives on the issues that we're facing in education. They serve 3-year terms. The meetings do occur during the school day, so it's important that somebody applies, that they confirm that they can be absent on those days and attend the meetings before they apply. You see a link to the application here. If you know of a teacher who is interested, who would be a good fit for that, please also share this information with them. If you need more information, email Stacy Noah. Next slide. All right, I think we have Chair Robinson with us. Dr. Robinson, are you ready? Are you there, Dr. Robinson? We were having just a few technical difficulties earlier, so pardon the delay. There's a slide. Okay, let me see. All right, Meredith, do we need to move on?
So she is logged in. Can we check to make sure that she has a microphone?
She is able to unmute or turn her camera on.
All right.
There we go. We heard you, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your forbearance and thank you for your patience. But I am happy to join the webcast and welcome all those who can participate as we kind of celebrate the beginning of the school year and the beginning of our commissioner in this role. Our meeting, our most recent meeting was a very, very productive one. Where we spent a day in retreat mode. Can we go to the next slide, please? We met at a facility at the Kentucky State University and opened with an address from their president, Dr. Kofi Akapo, who gave us a lot of insight into a new teacher education program that they are designing to be fully clinically based so that their candidates come in, leave the program ready to start practice in challenging situations as very strong novice practitioners who are ready to grow in the profession. We spent a good deal of time talking about key goals for the commissioner's first year in office. And you'll be happy to know and probably strongly suspect the Commissioner Fletcher is being supported and encouraged to continue our work on assessment and accountability, making the moonshot a reality for us all so that we can use important assessment data to improve practice and support stronger practice on behalf of our students. And we got a lot of feedback and engagement from the board, all members of the board, regarding our United We Learn accountability prototypes based on the amazing work that is coming to us from those who are participating at the local level, helping us dream big, be strong and bold and determined to have an accountability system that really serves the purpose that we are all devoted to. Let's go to the next slide. The following day, we were treated with a presentation on the 2024 Kids Count National Data Book from Dr. Terry Brooks. These data this year give us an opportunity, and every year, give us the opportunity to think about the context within which our students are living and the challenges that these contexts might in fact bring to the learning environment and how we need to address them. There's a lot of provocative data there, and I encourage everyone to become familiar with that. We were excited to hear about the launch of the Numeracy Counts initiative, which we fully expect to be as exciting and vibrant as our literacy initiative, and look forward to hearing more about that. And the important CATS operational plan for 2025, just it's exciting because Kentucky continues to be a leader in the application of technology to support the learning of our students all across the state, and the 2024-25 operational plan will do nothing but further that effort and that determination. So let's go to the next slide. Additionally, we spent a good deal of time talking about policies associated with supporting the work of Kentucky School for the Blind and the Kentucky School for the Deaf and the area technology centers. Associated with that were several regulatory amendments that the board approved. You will be hearing more about that. Most of these regulatory changes, however, are updates necessary based on required by legislation, updates based on cleaning them up and making sure that the language is really clear, understandable, and addresses issues that you have brought to our attention. Let's go to the next slide. Further excitement at this board meeting, we welcomed new board members from the Supreme Court District, as well as a new teacher and student member. Dr. Justin Pate comes to us from the Supreme Court District number 2, Paul Long from Supreme Court District 3, and Mike Borchers from Supreme Court District 6. We want to take the time to, again, congratulate. Let's go to the next slide. This year's winners of the Grisham Award. Now, as you know, the Grisham Award focuses on special education, and this year we welcomed and congratulated Tracy Francis, Jennifer Witt, and Dr. Lynn Petrie, who were nominated for the Grisham Award because of their project that focuses on inclusion of all students in the learning environment. They worked with their local community and industry, the private sector, to make sure that their classrooms were fully integrated and welcoming of all students. It was just amazing to hear the entrepreneurship, the understanding of community and the resources that are there that this team brought together and made sure were put to the benefit of all students. So we were really happy to recognize this team as the Grisham Grisham Award winners for innovation in special education. And that is the good news that we celebrated. Among the good news we celebrated, our next meeting will be October 7 and 8 in Frankfurt. Thank you so much for the opportunity to bring you this update.
All right, now we have Dr. Kelly Foster.
Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon, and happy back to school. I know many of you all started last week and lots of you are starting today, so I hope everyone's off to a great, safe start. I just wanted to take a moment today and invite you to the 2024 Continuous Improvement Summit. Next slide, please. Registration information has been in the Monday message for several weeks now, but just wanted to put that back on everybody's radar since everyone is back in full swing. But our summit will be September 23rd and 24th at the Central Bank Center in Lexington. And this year's keynote is Dr. Mark Abram, the author of What Success Looks Like. I had the pleasure of hearing him speak twice at the SREB School Improvement Summit in Nashville in July. So really looking forward to having him here in Kentucky. And the last bullet on the slide today also contains the registration information. So we'd love to see all of you all at the summit this year and encourage you to bring a team of principals and district and school leadership teams with you. We started this summit back in August or September of 2013, and we hope to have around 1,000 participants this year, and really look forward to seeing everyone and also sharing best practices that are happening across the state. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, but I do highly encourage you to register before the early bird registration cuts off, I believe, around Labor Day weekend. So hope to see you all on September 23rd. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Weeder. I'm the Director of the Division of Student Success. And we also have two of our persistence to graduation consultants on with us, just in case folks have specific questions that they can answer. And I'm going to talk a little bit about chronic absenteeism, which is not a new issue. It's been on our radar and at the national and state level for many years now, prior to the pandemic. And so while the issue is not new, we're going to talk a little bit about what is new about it. So next slide, please. So this map depicts the significant increase in chronic absenteeism pre and post-pandemic. So as a whole, the state increased in chronic absenteeism from 17% in the 17-18 school year to 30% in the 22-23 school year. And as you can see, the map is color-coded so that blue represents the counties that had at least 20% chronic absenteeism rate, which is nationally, that's considered to be a high rate of chronic absenteeism. And the darker the blue, the higher the chronic absenteeism rate is. And so even the counties that don't have the blue coloration, there is chronic absenteeism there. It's just not at the high or extremely high rate. So on your left, you'll see that most of the counties that reached the high rates of chronic absenteeism were in Eastern Kentucky pre-pandemic. However, post-pandemic, when we look at the data for the 22-23 school year, high chronic absenteeism rates really became a statewide issue, with almost all of the counties in Kentucky now shaded in blue. And in Eastern Kentucky, you see the darker shades of blue reflecting their chronic absenteeism rates, some of which are as high as 50 to 60%. Next slide, please. This chart depicts the changing chronic absenteeism levels by grade. While high school students continue to be the group with the highest levels of chronic absenteeism rates, our youngest grades actually are the ones that showed the most increase. And so you can see here that in the early grades of kindergarten, first and second, we see doubling of chronic absenteeism rates pre and post pandemic. And as you can imagine, this is concerning because more kids are missing that instruction in the foundational literacy, numeracy, and social skills, that you then begin to measure in grade 3. And they're also developing attendance habits in those early years. So this is an area of interest for us to make sure that we're addressing all of the grade levels and the unique characteristics that accompany them. So next slide, please. So Kentucky's data consistently reveals higher rates of chronic absenteeism compared to the national average. And there have been notable increases from pre to post-pandemic rates across every subgroup, with an almost 75% rise over the past 5 years. And so you can see that economically disadvantaged students and those with disabilities make up the largest percentage of students experiencing chronic absenteeism among these student groups. But even our gifted and talented students are showing, dramatic increases in their chronic absenteeism rates. Next slide, please. So as you can see, there's implications for all students and educators when there are high rates of chronic absenteeism. While in 2018, 1 in 20 students attended a school with extremely high or high chronic absenteeism rates, in 2023, 3 out of 4 students are attending a school with high or extremely high chronic absenteeism rates. And as you can imagine, that really impacts what you're able to do in schools and in classrooms when we have such a high rate of students that are absent. Next slide, please. So Attendance Works is an organization you may have heard about. They have done a lot of work on this topic for many years at the national level, and they have categorized, they've studied this issue extensively and categorized the reasons for chronic absenteeism into these 4 general domains of specific barriers that might impede students from coming to school, maybe aversion, disengagement, misconceptions. And so we're working to recognize these different barriers and help schools and districts think about different ways that they can work to mitigate these barriers, but also engage community partners to address the ones that the schools can't do by themselves. Next slide. So from Attendance Works, they have provided some really great resources for states to help address this issue. And one of the ways that they have encouraged states to frame this is from tiered levels of support, which I'm sure is familiar to many of you. So we've kind of taken this graphic and want to talk about the different tiers of support that we are trying to offer at the state level in Kentucky as a model for how you might try to do something similar at your district levels and at your school levels. And so in tier 1, we have resources that are available to all schools and districts, such as our early warning and insights tools. We have some infographics, messaging examples, and those are the things that you'll see on our KDE website, specifically focused on chronic absenteeism. And those are the materials and resources that Commissioner Fletcher alluded to earlier. Tier 2, we have co-op and professional role group associations that we've been working with to provide support upon request. So we've done trainings and met with the DPPs, the Principal Advisory Council, school counselors, etc. So we're working with those different role groups to provide tier 2 supports. And then at tier 3, for any districts that request follow-up, we do provide some additional coaching and training, particularly around our early warning and insights tools. Next slide, please. So as we mentioned, we've got several ways that KDE is supporting our school districts, particularly with the messaging campaign that was mentioned earlier with the billboards and media ads. We've got those resources that we have on our website for districts and schools and communicating with your different stakeholder groups. We are working to equip district and school leaders with specific strategies that are evidence-based to address chronic absenteeism, and the training on those different tools that we have that will help you really monitor your chronic absenteeism and which interventions are being effective. We're also networking with other states through different avenues, particularly national organizations that we have regular meetings with. We're also working with our Stronger Connections grant program coordinators. That was a piece of the Stronger Connections grant, was to focus on chronic absenteeism, and some different state level convenings that we participate in, bi-monthly or quarterly, to really also understand what's being effective in other states when they try to address this at a state level. Next slide, please. And so, as we mentioned, we have a lot of different resources that we are able to provide. And because this is getting a lot of national attention, we're seeing that vendors are kind of coming out of the woodwork to work with schools and districts to reduce chronic absenteeism. And so we want to make sure it's very evident what we have available already at the state level, so that your district leaders and your school leaders can really make some decisions about how to address that, including what is already available at no cost to you all in your district and school levels. So you'll see here we've got our chronic absenteeism page, where I mentioned before we have infographics, resources for families, resources for educators, and even community leaders. We also have data sets and data tools that we can that are available Many of you are probably familiar with the early warning and insight tools. We also have a chronic absenteeism report that you can generate at any time, and even a transient student report that is able to show how many moves a student makes, not just within a school district, but even across the state. And so we know that those transient students are particularly vulnerable to school absences. And we have some different webinars to address strategies for improving chronic absenteeism and enhancing a sense of belonging, and then some links to different national organizations. And so we've actually created a button linking to the chronic absenteeism webpage that is now on the main KDE landing page, just to make it easier for you to navigate our website and get to those resources. And we just really want to encourage you that all your staff in your district have the user rights to access these very powerful tools in Infinite Campus. And so with that, we can move to the next slide. This is our Persistence to Graduation team. You can reach out to any of these individuals to provide some follow-up training for your district, or even particularly some schools if needed. And so with that, I will wrap it up, and if there are no questions, we can move on to the next portion of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Christina. Well, good afternoon, superintendents. I'm here today to share with you about an opportunity for a Kentucky Early Literacy Leadership Network. But before I begin, I do want to address just the name change that you may be noticing. I did get married in July, but the entirety of my professional career, I have been Mickey Ray. And I'm so happy and proud to be Mickey Marinelli, but I'm trying to just professionally kind of ease folks into that name change. So you may see me as Mickey Ray, and a lot of people call me Mickey Ray, first and last name together, but you will start to see Mickey Marinelli a little more often. But the purpose, again, of me being here today is to be able to share this network opportunity and to notify you that I will be reaching out to some of your local district points of contact. If we can go to the next slide, you can see here that the purpose of this network was truly to provide supports around implementing effective strategies for K-5 literacy, grounded in your high quality instructional resources that I know many are in the early stages of implementing. And so we had hoped to partner with about 20 districts across the state. So we were looking for 5 to 7 districts in the West, 5 to 7 in the central portion of the state, and 5 to 7 in eastern Kentucky. But I'm thrilled to report that we have 40 districts who submitted interest. And so my next step will be to reach out to the identified district point of contact from your teams to really think through what the next steps will be for your district and the level of participation that you're seeking. On the next slide, it will show you the sort of the goals of the network. So we want to provide an opportunity for district and school leaders to just connect and be able to come together in some dedicated time to learn from one another. We want to, most importantly, address challenges and problems that you're facing at the local level and implementing Read to Succeed specifically, and then be able to provide supports to your teachers on behalf of students across your elementary schools. Again, we are looking for district level teams of 5 to 7 people. So 5 to 7 districts per region, although we are going to be expanding that some, with local teams who are committed to 3 sessions. So we will have a session, the first one in October in the fall. We plan to have a virtual session that will happen in January or February. And then lastly, we will have an in-person session that will happen in the spring. And so the KDE Director of Early Literacy, Christy Biggerstaff, and I will be working together to actively support this network. But I have to say a thank you to our cooperative partners. So we will be partnering with GREC, KEDC, and KVEC to provide those in-person opportunities for the district participants. We're also working to establish an advisory cabinet of local leaders. And that was very important to me because I want this to be meaningful. I want it to be relevant and actionable. You know, if we're asking people to give of their time, we want it to be something that they benefit from and can take back and serve their full district. And so it matters to me to hear what those problems of practice are. And so we hope that we'll be able to have an advisory cabinet of local leaders from your points of contact who will come together in advance of each network meeting to really help us to shape the agenda and the experiences that will take place over the course of the network. And then the last slide that I have today, if you know me at all, you know I will take any and every opportunity to speak to our Letters Professional Learning. And Cohort 3 is currently open. The registration will be open through the end of this month. We just have about 2 more weeks to encourage folks to register. I will say I'm thrilled to report we have about 1,700 educators who are already signed up for Cohort 3, but I'm hoping that we'll have about 2,000 ultimately who are able to participate in this third cohort. It is important for me to say that this is a free opportunity for educators and administrators who participate. So the KDE, it takes on the cost of that professional learning, and it always amazes me that there are people who don't know that it is free. And so I want you to hear me say that today. And we have had over 4,000 educators who have participated in cohorts 1 and 2. And I want to celebrate those individuals. I want to celebrate the commitments that you've made to participation already. We are using our Division of Early Literacy's newsletter as a way to spotlight different testimonials from districts and administrators and teachers. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for allowing us to tell your stories, and we would love to feature more. So if you feel as if your district has been positively impacted by Letters, if Letters has helped to support your implementation of your high quality instructional resource, we would love to be able to tell your story. And so I just thank you. I thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions, would welcome an email or a call from you, either regarding Letters Cohort 3 or the Kentucky Early Literacy Leadership Network. So thank you so much for your time today.
Mickey, thanks for that wonderful overview of the Literacy Network and your leadership, and of course, the leadership of all of our folks in the Office of Teaching and Learning to improve literacy, not only here in the Commonwealth, but also serve as an example across the nation in terms of improving literacy. So again, kudos to you and all of our folks in the Office of Teaching and Learning to improve literacy and also improve curricular opportunities and opportunities for access as well. I want to quickly mention here in this one slide I have, the Association for Teaching Black History in Kentucky is offering grant amounts anywhere from $200 to $500 to help improve the teaching of Black history, which is American history here in Kentucky. Again, to support the work around preserving Kentucky's rich history, rich Black history and contributions. As of now, there is no end date for the grants. That will continue to take applications until the funds are fully utilized. And we hope in an effort to continue to increase awareness and use of high quality instructional resources, we hope that these resources would not only align with the Kentucky Academic Standards, the CAS standards for social studies, but also that you utilize high quality instructional resources. And really excited about folks who will be applying for those grants. If you have any questions or you want a quick response, please email your questions to robinsons2@berea.edu, or certainly feel free to reach out to me here at KDE. That's all I have, Jen. I'll take any questions now, or we'll take questions a little later if any of you have them.
All right, right now it does not look like we have any questions submitted. So if anybody does have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box you see on your screen. Commissioner?
Again, like to thank everyone for joining us today. And for those of you who've already started school, congratulations. And then for those of you that today is your first day, I know that you'll watch on a little bit later in recording. I also want to give in today with some important dates. The Education Professional Standards Board meeting will be August 20th. We also have our Teacher of the Year ceremony at the Rotunda on September 10th. I had the honor on Monday evening, I think it was, to call all 9 of our Teacher of the Year applicants, or ones that are competing for that last title, but congratulate each one of those. I've talked to several of your teachers about the program, but again, very thankful that I had the opportunity to talk to those teachers first, and then we sent out the notifications later on. So congratulations, superintendents, for those of you that have one of those 9 teachers, but also too, congratulations to every superintendent that has teachers just like these 9. We're so thankful that we have people like this with our kids each and every day. Our next Superintendent's Webcast is September 12th. And then, of course, our Kentucky Board of Education regular meeting will be October 7th and 8th. And that one's going to be very special to the commissioner, because they'll talk about my evaluation on that one. So if you want to see that, please tune in. Very thankful to our board members. We had a great meeting earlier this month. The expectations are very clear, and they were the same as they were in the interview. So I'm very thankful for a great board to work with. So those are 4 dates that we have. Jennifer, do we have any questions that maybe have come up since the end?
We do not. It is a quiet Q&A box today.
Okay. If you have any questions, please let us know. And if there's not any more information, Jennifer, anything else to go over?
I think we're done.
Okay,
they get a little bit of their day back, good bit of their day back.
Well, for those of you that are going to be starting in the next week, best of luck and congratulations to those of you who have started already. Looking forward to seeing you in the classrooms, in the hallways, on the buses, in the cafeterias in the very near future. Have a good one. Thank you for being all in.